everyone. This is Ed Bixby from the Better Death Collective, standing here in Steelmantown Cemetery. Today we're going to take a look at different examples of food that you can find in the forest. Things that our ancestors and the Native Americans may have used on a daily basis and modern society probably has forgotten about. So you'll learn a little bit about the things that you can and cannot eat if you were stranded in the forest here in the Pine Barrens of South Jersey. For example, this is a huckleberry. This is a close relative of the high bush blueberry, which we do have here at the preserve. But these can be eaten, and actually lots of things like pies, jellies, and jams can be made of them as well. This is a classic example of a sassafras tree. Sassafras was used back in the olden days to make a drink very similar to root beer. Sassafras has a very pungent odor, but it actually smells very good. This can be used again for a lot of different things, medicinal things, as well as a drink. So this is an example of a high bush blueberry. You can see there's a blueberry right there. This is exactly what you buy in the supermarket. This is obviously in its natural state. The blueberries you eat today come from this actual bush itself. They've just been cultivated differently. You can find these throughout the entire forest here in Steelmantown. So in the forest here in Steelmantown, you'll find a variety of trees, all types of pine trees, hickory trees, an abundance of red, white, and black oak. Some of the bark of these trees is edible, but that would be something you would have to research. Native Americans would use it in different ways. So this is a classic example of a beautiful, majestic oak tree located here in the preserve. The Native Americans would actually use the acorns as a major staple in their diet. So we're standing here next to a cranberry bog that's loaded with native cranberries. They're very similar to the cultivated cranberries that you're used to eating today. The Native Americans and colonists would have made this a large part of their diet. So this is a pignut hickory tree, which produces hickory nuts, which can be roasted and eaten. These are perfectly safe to eat. So here in the forest, you'll find lots of different plants that have fruit, but they're not safe to eat. This bramble produces fruit, like many others will point out, but this would not be safe for human consumption, but of course animals love it. So this would be a black cherry tree, and even though the name is cherry, again, this would be something that has a fruit on it, but not for human consumption, but for birds and animals. The American holly tree is found throughout this forest in South Jersey. This has beautiful red berries, but again, not safe for human consumption, but the birds and the wildlife love the berries on them. One thing you have to remember is that some mushrooms are edible, but most are not. They can be very dangerous, even poisonous. So one of the things that you have to keep in mind is in nature, very colorful animals a lot of times are that color to warn predators that they're poisonous. So I would not suggest eating any kind of mushroom unless you knew absolutely that it was edible and from a reliable source. So in conclusion, there are lots of things that you can eat in the forest. Many things you didn't see today, like the black walnut, horseradish, tea berry, they all exist here in the forest. But again, never eat anything without knowing what it is. And we hope that you found this informative and you liked the content.